really a tough year for so many of our educators. And I wonder what it's been like for our next guest because there are some classes that you can teach online. Others are a little bit harder. With us, we want to bring in Mike Conrad. He is a teacher over at Royal Oak High School, but you also teach video production. What's it been like for you in the middle of the pandemic?
Well, not as bad as having mint stuck to the bottom of my cup, I can tell you that. So
It's a struggle. The struggle is real, Mike. It's real.
hashtag first world problems, right?
Exactly. Monday problems.
Yeah. Boy, what's it been like? I don't even know a quick way to answer that one. The school year started off, we were all virtual. And I had to try to figure out, and I don't want to use the word pivot because I think that word is number one overused and also don't think it applies. It was more of a restructuring. And we had to try to figure out how to teach a technologically based class of a TV studio with students at home. And that was hard. About halfway through the school year, we started to get some kids back into the building. And for the last, since March, I've been teaching to students here with me at the computers in the studio in the classroom and kids here at home through, we use WebEx at the same time. And that was a pretty big struggle because you never know who's going to be in your classroom from day to day. You get one positive case in the building and every student around that student who's tested positive is now quarantined for 2 weeks. So there was always a fluctuation of who's going to be in the classroom, but the kids were pretty great about showing up online. They were pretty great about communicating what was going on, but it has been a struggle.
With that, Mike, too, I think what makes your class so unique is because we're talking about technology. And the technology students have at home can be so different to what they have there in the classroom. And you're trying to teach it with those limitations, because even though I have a Mac, my Mac right now is pretty much reached its capacity. So it's constantly crashing, So how's that been to try to navigate that world?
You know what? I thought it was going to be harder. I've got really great equipment here and I've got, nice cameras that we use in the classroom and a whole TV studio. And then next thing you know, the entire class was phones.
Right.
So everything shot at home was phones. A great editing software program emerged with some great popularity called Video, which allowed for collaborative video editing. So I could have a project open and I could be editing on it along with 5 kids who are at their home editing the same project at the same exact time. There were some great things that kind of reared their heads and said, hey, we're gonna help you out with this. And that was great. But the hardest part, I think, the biggest struggle is kind of like what you were talking about, managing your Mac and imagining being an IT person, a presenter, a manager of Zoom calls, a teacher of online, a teacher of in-person, and doing technical troubleshooting all at the same time.
And I'm sure you didn't get extra pay for all of that.
Oh, no. Oh, God, no.
It's been quite the year, I will say, as well. My brother-in-law teaches math on the high school level in Macomb County. And it's like you said, trying to teach to some in person, others virtual, and having to address everyone the same and trying to see that the kids are also keeping up can be a challenge, even when they're in the classroom in front of you.
Yeah, I think student engagement has been the biggest problem. I would have thought that technological issues or getting technology. I gave kids cameras. They came to pick them up at the building. I sent computers home. I sent home microphones and green screens and anything that they needed, I would get to them. But the student engagement was the hardest part. And boy, if someone finds that magic wand, I'd be happy to pick it up. But that has been the big struggle.
So if we can talk, how are some of their projects? Have they been creative, though?
I've been blown away by the projects. Some of the projects that were just produced at home on a phone, so creative, so witty, so funny, great shot composition. There's always things that can be fixed, but if you consider that these kids have been sitting in their bedrooms or in their workspaces for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and then given the opportunity to do something fun and creative, some of them knocked it out of the park. I had a student who produced an entire short film at her home during our quarantine time called Thread. And that it won an award as a Best of Show recipient in the DAFT Michigan Student Film Festival this year. So I was incredibly proud of that work. It's been great to see the kids rise up and know that, okay, this is a little bit different. We can have some fun and maybe break the monotony a little bit.
We're talking with Mike Conrad. He's a teacher over at Royal Oak High School who focuses on video production and advanced TV production. Since you just mentioned DAF, we should also say that you were awarded the 2021 Michigan Educator of the Year award by the organization. I watched the Zoom video. You had no clue it was coming, did you?
I had no clue it was coming. No, they did a really, really good job of pulling the rug out from under me on that one. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. It was fun
Thank
to
you.
watch too, to see your face. You were like, what's going on here? And as
Yeah,
more
I
and more
watched
people
that back.
popped in.
It was pretty cringeworthy watching that back.
No, it was fun. But for those not familiar with DAFT, bring us up to speed. It's a great program. I didn't know about it before today. I'm
Yeah,
like, what
DAFT
rock have I been living under, Tyler?
DAFT has been around a long time. The Michigan Student Film Festival is really what DAFT centers around. And the film festival's been running. We just celebrated our 53rd year. And I say our because I'm on the board of DAFT. 53 years running a Michigan Student Film Festival. We were known as Detroit area film teachers back in the day. And then as things progressed and film wasn't used anymore, they changed and rebranded themselves as Digital Arts Film and Television. Workshops for teachers, workshops for students, competitions for students, just anything to get student work out and visible and seen is really what it's all about. And with the award, I was nominated by a peer of mine, a colleague of mine, Michael Kaufman, who teaches TV video production at Lance Cruz, the Pankow Center there. So it was really, it meant a lot coming from him because I look up to him. We work a lot sharing ideas, or as he says, stealing from each other. So it really was a nice message coming from him. I appreciated it a lot.
That's great. Well, I'm sure that it was well-deserved as well, even more so coming out of this last year because it's been such a challenge, but also a great time for creativity. Think about this, if this happened even 10 years ago. Our technology was so different, and the phone has really changed our entire world. And I remember, a few years ago, the iPhone came out with someone shot an entire music video on the iPhone. And I'm like, well, they must have a supercharged iPhone because mine doesn't shoot video or pictures like that, But really, the technology has been amazing in the advances in the TV and film world.
Oh, absolutely. I'm finishing my 11th year of teaching. I worked broadcast for 20 years prior to teaching. So coming into this world, we were still shooting on tape, DV tape. We weren't using SD cards 10 years ago. And now, Steven Soderbergh shot an entire film on his iPhone. So, you're right that the progression has been phenomenal so that we can be successful, and as successful as we can be right now. But if we didn't have the technology we had in our hands, or the phones in our pockets, or the microphones on our phones, I don't know where we would be right now.
With that as well, you wonder what the technology is going to be in 15, 20 years from now, how good it's going to be. But it's what's it been like, too, for your students? Because I know even between my husband and I'm an Apple person. He's an Android person. And I will say Android, their phone, their camera is so much better than the iPhone. I hate to say that.
I'm an Apple person. I love Apple. My son, he's a junior at our high school, he's an Android person. So he's Android PC and I'm Apple, iPhone, and Mac. So we're always like this.
Right. I will say it's Apple to me is like a bad boyfriend, but I stick around because of AirDrop. It's the only reason.
I just like how everything fuses together. I'm an Apple Music guy too. So it's just, I'm all in.
But what's it been like, too, when it comes to the different platforms with your students and having to learn the ins and outs of various platforms to be able to teach them as well?
Well, that actually hasn't been that much of a challenge. WeVideo was the program that I mentioned earlier. It works across all platforms. It also works on mobile devices, PCs, Macs. It works everywhere. So it really helped unify. Everybody could speak the same language. It wasn't offering, we weren't using different software programs or different devices. So I didn't have to say, oh, if you're on Android, do this, or if you're on an iPhone, do this, or on a Mac. And with cameras, and I mean, most kids are pretty savvy with what they're doing with their cameras. They can know the inner workings of their own devices. So that really wasn't a struggle for this past year and we use Google Drive. Everything is uploaded to Google Drive. We're a Google school district. And then we use WebEx, which works across all platforms as well. So I think we did a pretty good job of finding things that were universal for everybody who was involved to make it equitable. That's the biggest issue that we had in the beginning was, did students have the resources they needed? And we strategically found those things that we needed.
Because on top of that as well, Mike, I'm thinking about even when I tried to learn something new, if you go on YouTube or you're trying to follow along, typically you need two devices. I will normally watch it on my iPad, but then try to actually edit or, do things on the actual computer. So did you find that that was a challenge for some of the students, or they're just so savvy with their phones that they're good?
It was a small percentage of students that had that issue, but most kids do try to do everything on their phones nowadays. Even before pandemic, pre-pandemic, when we're in class, they're all trying to write their papers on their phones, and they're all trying to submit all of their work on their phones. When I think all of us know that there's times where the actual workstation, the PC or the Mac, is the better place to do your work. But most kids are very, very savvy with their tech. It was a small percentage, but it was an issue. It reared its head.
So with that, Mike, if I can ask you, because the kids are so savvy, have they taught you anything during this pandemic?
Boy, they did teach me how to be resilient. I noticed that, these kids, and this isn't anything that they taught me that was technology based, but watching them, I mean, some of them went through some very, very horrific times over this past year, and they're still expected to show up and be in school, and we're still expected to push them and try to do their personal best. And there were times where I stopped and said, okay, guys, we're going to throw everything out. I want to hear what you want to do. I want to hear what your struggles and your challenges and what your hopes are right now. And I'm willing to blow things up for the sake of trying something new with you under your leadership and your drive so that we can all stay engaged here. So I learned a lot from them in terms of what they wanted this year, what was possible, what wasn't possible. And that really is helping me transform my class in preparation for next year as well.
So if we can jump forward to next year, fingers crossed, it's back to everyone in person without mask.
I wish I could say I knew. I don't. I know what some of the talk is. I would say that we are trying to be face to face. I don't know if it's going to be with or without masks. I will say, fingers crossed, we've been really lucky. We have not gotten the positive COVID student email in weeks, which has been great. The kids in the building have been phenomenal in terms of following the guidelines and the rules and distancing and wearing their masks. But I don't know what the fall looks like. I'm hoping that that's our trend. I think the test positive rate is below 3% now. It hasn't been there in, I don't know how months and months. So I would like to think that we will be face to face. I would like to think that we'll be not masked, but if we get a peak, we'll have to see what happens in the summer. That's a long ways away.
I know it does seem like, throughout the pandemic, each week is more like, 6 weeks in real world time, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're 2 weeks to the end of the school year. We have graduation tonight. I can't even think past that right now. But my hope is that studio on the other side of the wall right over here is going to be bustling, and we're going to use all the equipment. I have boxes and boxes of equipment that I purchased 1.5 years ago that have not even been touched by students yet because they haven't been able to come in and try it. So I'm excited for the fall. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting time.
Oh, I'm sure they are as well. Again, Mike Conrad with us here on the MegaCast. He is a teacher over at the Royal Oak High School who was also recently named Michigan Film Educator of the Year. And with that, Mike, before we say goodbye, can you tell us a little bit more about DAF, some of the programs? Is it open to regular people to get involved with as well?
Well, we do workshops. Really what we gear for is students and teachers. That's really what the focus is. And if you are interested in learning about film and video, There are some resources on the website where you can watch some videos and learn how to do some things that we've done. We have a teacher symposium that we hold every December, a student symposium that we hold every December, a summer workshop called Focal Point, which keeps some kids busy with their hands on gear over the summertime. So if you're not a student or a teacher, you can visit the website, which is daftonline.org, and you can check out some of those resources. But we look for schools to become members, get the kids involved, get the teachers networking. That's really what the hub of what DAFT is.
So many teachers, I would think, after this year are going to be reaching out to all of you because they've come to realize just how important this technology is and can help them reach their students in a different way as well.
Yeah, and it takes a village has never been truer. So it is not something you can do on your own. And if you try, just please come talk to us or talk to some of your other colleagues that take some ideas. We lift each other up and build each other up. I don't think I would have made it through this year without a lot of the close friends I have as colleagues, because we really, really held each other up.
Well, I'm sure the students feel very grateful to you and all of the teachers for all the work that you've done throughout this year. And how lucky are they to have someone with your experience and your background to teach them as they continue to embark in this industry as well?
Well, I do think I've got the best gig around. I mean, it's a lot of fun. The kids love it. They respond to it. I can change things. I can stop on a dime and add something new if some new technology or a new film or television show pops up. We have a good time, and the kids learn a lot along the way.
Well, we appreciate your time as well. So thank you, Mike Conrad, teacher over at the Royal Oak High School, but he was also named the Michigan Film Educator of the Year by DAFT. We appreciate your time. Happy one of the last weeks of the school year to you.
2 to go.
2 to go. Hang in there. You're almost finished.
Yeah.